Welcome to the Neural Talks, your gateway to the forefront of AI innovation. I'm your host, Ranjit Malarkot, and together we'll explore the AI revolution with the brightest minds pushing boundaries and shaping the future. Through candid conversations, they share hard-won insights as we unlock the transformative power of AI. Get informed, get inspired. This is the future, and you're in the front row. Hi, Hari. Welcome to the Neural Talks. It's such a pleasure having you here.
Hey, Ranjit, it's amazing to be back in the Neural family system. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. So, Hari, for audience, a quick intro to you and your relevance to AI and how you use it would be fantastic.
Hari Ramani, I work in the AI department with a large energy major. I've been an AI practitioner for just over a decade. And in my day job, I actually leverage AI for transforming large industrial processes. And now with the advent of generative AI, we're getting very, very excited with the applications that can bring to our landscape as well.
A lot of buzz about GenAI, AI. Wanted to get your perspective on how should practitioners, think about, GenAI versus AI. How should people in the business think about it? How should people who want to put this to use think about it? What are the risks? Would love to have your perspective.
Yeah, it's a fascinating question. We keep getting asked that question quite a bit, even in the business when a lot of leaders come in and say, hey, Gen AI is coming onto the landscape. How should we look at it? What's different about this? Is this pure hype? Is there a real transformative capability behind this technology? As a practitioner who's been looking into AI, I started with data science before it was even called AI. So I've kind of gone through a couple of these hype cycles, maybe more, but I think Gen AI is truly transformational. Gen AI, generative AI, as the name suggests, is where your technology is able to generate new content without making it sound robotic, without making it sound as if it's regurgitating previously fed content. It creates material that is purely creative and is able to fill in missing dots. That is fascinating when you go on to one of the large language models available out there, whether it's Llama or whether it is ChatGPT, and then ask it questions, and then it's able to create travel itineraries for you, or it's able to create short essays for you, or in some cases, create long essays for you to submit to your college application. Now, I'm not recommending you do that, but this is an entirely new type of technology that we have not been exposed to. It's been around for about 12 to 18 months now. It's been under works for a lot longer than that. But now the world is starting to see not just personal individual based applications of this technology, but we're now starting to see this get into the corporate environment where technology majors are introducing this into their product suite and then are making it as an embedded functionality available in their applications. At the heart of it, Ranjit, the core technology, the core mathematics, the core computer science behind GenAI is not that different from what has been in AI for the longest time. AI at its heart has always been about predicting the next value, analyzing information, recognizing patterns, and then giving more insights to make specific decisions. To a large extent, we've been using it for the purposes of automating human tasks. So where a computer can gather a lot of information and then mimic what a human being would decide on. AI would largely create rules and say, if these sets of conditions are applicable, then this is the next logical step, and it would start executing task after task after task. With Gen AI, it actually takes that 2 or 3 steps forward. It starts to say, I can now start to create content with a much more conducive flow as if a human were to write it. And for the first time, it is starting to create material as if a creative writer or a creative artist is actually generating that content. Now, this is a massive shift from a user perspective, but the underlying technology hasn't fundamentally changed. There's 2 or 3 major enablers that is actually facilitating this shift. One is obviously the algorithms are starting to get more and more sophisticated, but the amount of data that the algorithms are getting exposed to is also increasing exponentially. And the last part of the puzzle, right? After technology, the algorithms and the data, the last part of the puzzle is more to do with the computing power. In the past, our CPUs were never capable of processing the amount of information that we are generating at this point in time. With the advent of GPUs and the way in which we're deploying them and the ever evolving architecture around it, it's just fascinating to see how all of these coming together at the same time is creating such beautiful results for us. For practitioners, AI versus Gen AI can always be a difficult dilemma to crack. I would almost recommend start focusing on the fundamentals. Both of them use similar models. Both of them use deep learning and neural networks. There's not a big difference in terms of what kind of math and computer science goes into it. It's more about the application and what kind of outputs you generate with it. Continue to be conversant with the technology behind it, and then continue to start leveraging both sets of technology. Where the application differs, that's where you start to look at, do you want to deploy traditional AI, which almost sounds like a bit of an oxymoron, right? I mean, AI is not that mature for us to say traditional in the sense of the word, but between AI and Gen AI, the application of the technology differs, but the fundamentals don't differ that much.
Super. That's a very lucid explanation, Hari. Thank you so much for that. I think I'm really hoping our viewers understand that they have to get down now into fundamentals and then really think about the application rather than thinking about, is this something cool? Is this something that I should be using just because I need to put it out there? Or what is more applicable really boils down to the fundamentals and to the real value that is being generated from the applications. One more question for Hari before you let you go. So to compare and contrast Gen AI versus AI, I have a question for you. Gen AI versus AI, who's the artist? If you could, throw in your hat and compare them for us.
Oh, wow. That's actually a very interesting question, Ranjit. And anytime you actually create something new, you associate that with art. An artist is really valued because there's creative genius behind it, and therefore the artist is always celebrated, right? With transform models and diffusion models that have come in under Gen AI, now we're starting to see computers create art in the traditional sense. They can create drawings, and you can get really, really interesting drawings or really fascinating reproductions of originals by famous artists. So it's quite possible, or it's even tempting to actually start calling Gen AI the artist and AI a bit of a crude country cousin, right? But I think it goes down to how you leverage the technology, and the true artist is sitting somewhere behind that technology when the individual starts to deploy it. I was having this conversation a little earlier today where we would tend to think of someone creating a painting as an artist, but if you think of a doctor who's starting to use tons and tons of information from her experience to start predicting which way the cancer is going to grow and then start looking at new ways of treating that, is as much an artist as any other person in the traditional art world. If you were then to take traditional AI, as we are now starting to call it, and say, I'm going to use this to start predicting which way a particular cancer is going to grow or which way a particular eye disease is going to evolve into, so that we can start predicting it, but also treating it ahead of the curve, that is as much art as anything else that you could generate with Gen AI. I would rather focus on what kind of applications and how we can progress those applications in this space, rather than try and categorize them into art and artist and then put some labels around them. Because I think technology at the end of the day is for advancing how we want to deliver our purpose. And I think both AI and Gen AI are absolutely adept at doing that for us.
So the artist is really depends on the creator and the intent of the creation. And you're saying that, both are equally, adept at creating and being art, being artistic. Fantastic. Hari, thank you so much. We look forward to having you again on another, podcast of the Neural. Thank you and see you soon.
Thank you so much, Ranjit.
Hope you enjoyed this episode of the Neural Talks. Hit subscribe or follow us on LinkedIn to stay informed of many more great episodes on AI coming up. We're the Neural, where humans meet AI.